Hi everyone, my name is Sam Ng. I work on the C# compiler team. And as always, with all that we talk about, you can find more information about this on my blog, which is at blogs.msdn.com/saming. Okay, so today we're going to chat about COM Interop in the C# language. Now, with the introduction of C# 4.0, we realized that COM isn't going anywhere, and we can't get rid of it no matter how hard we try. So if you can't beat them, join them, right? And so with C# 4.0, we've introduced some language features that will help you as a COM programmer be able to write your code a little more fluently, a little bit more naturally. So the very first thing we want to start off with is a sample COM app. So what I've got here is a basic console application that is just a logging app. It creates a Word document, it spits out a sample text string to that document, and then it quits. So here we've got our init method, which just sets up the Word application. We've got a shutdown method that quits Word, and down here we've got a log method that just spits out the string that we are trying to log. And so of course my main driver method just creates one of my loggers and goes and inits it, logs a string, and shuts down. Okay, so the very first feature that I want to chat with you about today is something that we refer to as the COM no ref feature. Essentially what this does is it allows you to pass arguments that should be passed by ref without that ref keyword there. Now for those of you who are Office programmers, you'll know that most of the Office APIs have loads of arguments, and most of them are required to be passed by ref. And so this kind of gets tedious, right? Because you can't even just write, null, 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 or type.missing, type.missing. You've got to create a local for it and then pass that local by ref. So, case in point, here our document.add method, it takes 4 ref arguments, and we don't need to specify any of them, but we've got to provide a local variable for this type.missing thing and pass that by ref because it requires a ref. Well, in C# 4.0, what we allow you to do instead is we allow you to, when we detect that you're calling a method off of a COM object, we allow you to pass the ref parameters not by ref. And the compiler will take whatever argument you've passed, wrap that in a temporary local for you, and pass that local by ref on your behalf. So in our call here to documents.add, I can go ahead and just remove these ref statements. I can build, and I can just run, and of course this runs. Now one interesting thing to note is that most of the Word APIs also have default parameter values for all of the arguments that they've got. Namely, the default parameter value is going to be type.missing, which is exactly what we're specifying. So I can even just go ahead and remove all of these altogether and go ahead and build and run, and everything works exactly as I would expect. Okay, so we noticed that we got rid of our little type.missing helpers that we needed to add, so we can just get rid of this local variable altogether. So that's essentially what the COM no ref feature allows us to do. It allows us to take a method, in this case add, which required a whole bunch of ref arguments, and allows us to specify them not by ref. And combining that with the optional parameter value feature, we can just simply make this call to add without passing any arguments. As you can obviously see, this is much clearer in terms of the code that you're writing, and is much easier for you to read, and much easier for you to maintain further down the road. Okay, the second feature I'm going to chat with you about that we've introduced for COM Interop is this notion of index properties. So for those of you who program against the object model a lot, you'll be used to writing things like this. Where you are really wanting to call an indexed property, but because the C# language does not allow you to use index properties as first-class citizens, you've got to call them via their accessor method. And so you have to call the get item or the set item, passing in the value as the last parameter. Well, we realize that this is kind of limiting and kind of really kind of a wart in the whole COM Interop story as well. And so we decided that we would fix this and allow you to consume these guys. So essentially what that means is instead of calling get underscore item, I can simply use my indexer syntax on my property and pass the parameters to that indexer and access the indexer that way. So the first thing we should note is, again, we can get rid of the refness in the argument, and then we can just get rid of this call to get item and start it with a square bracket and close it off. And we'll go ahead and build just to make sure that, yep, that does succeed, and we'll run one more time to show that indeed we do have everything running as we'd expect. So that's index properties. It's something that users probably have used conceptually, and now we're just allowing to use it syntactically in the same way that you would think about it. Okay, the third example, if we scroll down here to my shutdown method, is this call to quit. Well, the first thing we can do, again, we can remove the refs, and because we're passing type.missing everywhere, we can remove all the arguments altogether. So that's already a bonus. This looks a little bit nicer. The second thing is, though, that we should notice what's actually happening here. Here we've got a property access for doc.parent, and what this guy does is this returns me the parent of my document. But of course it's an object pointer, so I gotta store it in an object. But now when I want to try to go ahead and use it, I know that this object really is a Word.application, and so I've got to cast it to Word.application before I can call quit. Well, wouldn't it be nice if I could just call the quit method off of my parent object, even though it's typed object, but because I know that there should be a quit method on there, wouldn't it be nice if I could just do that? Well, the next feature I'm going to chat with you about allows you to do just that. This feature is called dynamic binding. Essentially what this does is this allows you to tell the compiler that, hey, there really is a quit method on this object that I'm giving you, so at runtime, go ahead and bind to that quit method for me. At compile time, you're not going to do any checks for me, so you're not going to verify that I actually do have that quit method, but I know that it's there, so go ahead and do it for me. So what that means is we're going to, instead of typing this guy as object, we're going to type this guy as dynamic. And so dynamic really is just a wrapper for object. It, essentially everything in metadata gets represented as if it was object, but just at compile time, the keyword dynamic is a hint to the compiler that says, hey, do the type checking for this at runtime instead. Sorry, first I'm going to get rid of this little line here that I don't need. Okay, so because my object is type dynamic, I no longer need to cast it to the appropriate Word interface in order for the compiler to bind against it. So I can just go ahead and remove this cast and leave my call to quit there and rebuild. And let's just validate that everything runs. And it indeed runs exactly as I would expect. So those are really the three main features that we've introduced to make your COM code a lot cleaner. If we scroll back up and take a look at everything that we've done so far, everything really is a whole lot cleaner. Right now I've got this simple call to add right here, and I'm not passing any arguments to it, so you can clearly see that I'm not doing that, and it's a whole lot easier for me to read. Same with my property access, right? I no longer have to have all this get underscore business written everywhere. I can even use the indexer syntax to call the setter as well, so I just have an assignment statement instead of a set member access and all that kind of stuff. And so that's a whole lot cleaner as well. And this last scenario, instead of having to cast all the objects coming out, which we typically do in the Office APIs, I can just simply dynamically dot off of them and tell the compiler that, hey, there really is a quit method off of here, so just go ahead and do that. And so as you can see, we've really tried to make your COM code a lot cleaner so that it really still looks like you're writing C#, despite the fact that you're really programming against a different object model. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Hopefully you can give these features a little bit of a try. And as always, we would love all the feedback that you can get. So again, feel free to post comments on my blog, or feel free to email me at saming@microsoft.com. Yeah, and as always, have fun using these features and happy coding.